Well, hello. I actually thought I was already live for a solid 15 seconds, and then I was like, hold on. It's my first time using StreamYard, so I am on multiple channels at the same time. Okay, this looks more like it. Cool. So you'll be able to rewatch the replay after I'm done recording this live. And the idea was, if you have any questions, you can send them to me either right now live while I am doing this, or after, or before, rather, not after. Oh my God, what am I saying? This is the cool thing about being live, is that you can't back out if you fuck up. So send them to me before, and thankfully some of you have sent me some messages on time, so I was able to read them, and I'm going to answer them today. But first, I wanted to take a moment to explain what this is all about. So this is a live to mainly to answer questions about what it takes to create an offer that both you and the market are excited about. There are tons of resources out there for you to learn how to create an offer. That's not what I'm teaching here, because you can Google it, you can easily figure out how to create an offer. In fact, most people I speak to already know how to create an offer. That's not the issue. The issue is, how do you create an offer around something that you love? Okay, so figuring out what your passion and purpose is, and then packaging the work that you love to do as something that the market is willing to spend money on, that's kind of the problem here. And for most people that I speak to, spiritual creatives, they think they have to choose between these two things. They think that you can't really have your authentic full self-expression and make money at the same time. And so there is a kind of a separation in how you're showing up in the world. There's the side of you that is professional, that is, fitting in a business context or work. And then there's this other side that wants to express itself, that wants to express a spiritual perspective, an authentic perspective, creativity, things like that. So how do you navigate putting these two things together is the idea of this live. And so this is actually in preparation for a bigger event, which is the workshop that's coming up end of this month. So June 29th, 11 a.m. Central, I'm going to be doing a workshop, a virtual workshop. Those of you who have been watching my content for some time, I like to connect with my lovely people. Around once a month, once every couple of months, I'll do a free marketing workshop. And the next one is going to be about this topic. I asked you guys, what would be most helpful? And most of you said, we want to learn how to create an offer that sells. So before I forget, let me actually see if I can put the link. I don't know how posting a link works in a place like this, since I'm streaming on all sorts of channels. I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, and I think I connected this to even my personal Facebook and Instagram, which I don't even use. But I was like, why not? I'll just throw it in there. If you don't see it, I'll put it in the comments somewhere, or just DM me wherever you're watching this, and I will send it to you. The link to the workshop if you want to attend it. That's, again, June 29th, 11 a.m. Central. I'm going to be talking about creating an offer that sells. But for the sake of this, I want to answer some questions that I've received. So let me pull up my notes. Question number 1. I'm going to summarize the message. Okay, so basically this person is asking, they're saying, Aliana, sometimes you say that the offer has to come from the person for it to be an authentic, a real offer. And then sometimes you say you have to speak to the market. What is it? Do we have to talk to the market, or does it have to come from within? Both. The answer is always both. Almost, I think, to everything in life, it's both. It's never either or, I don't think. So when it comes to creating an offer, the essence of the offer has to come from you. So you have to first go within and ask yourself, what change do I seek to make in the world? On a grand scale, like in a big picture, what do I want to do? What kind of impact do I want to create? That's the first question I would ask. And then, specifically, what I call the brand function? What specifically do I help people resolve? And the way to think about it is, what kind of problems am I excited to solve? Okay, I know that creating an offer isn't always about solving problems. Sometimes, if that were the case, there wouldn't be a luxury market. But for the sake of this, because there are different ways to create an offer, the easiest way that I know of is to find problems, because problems, people look for solutions, they're willing to spend money to solve the problems. And also, I think the better way to do it. The world would be better if we focus on solving problems rather than creating stuff just for the sake of creating. Although that's fun and games and everything, but a little bit of intention and using our resources where they should go, I think is a good idea. So that's where I would start. And then from that place, how do I package that in a way that appeals to people? That's when you speak to the market. That's when you go talk to the market, ask them what do they want, and figure out, even though you know what kind of problems you want to help them resolve, you know what you want to help them achieve, you talk to them to figure out how do they say it? How do they think about it? What kind of notions do they have about it? What kind of preconceived ideas do they have about this topic? What kind of assumptions do I have, right? So the more you can speak to people, the more you can fine tune this thing and find the angles, if you will, that you can package what you offer as a fit for what they're looking for. And obviously, the point here is to be real with people, to not make shit up. Like if your offer doesn't solve XYZ problem, don't say that. But if it does, definitely use their language to present what you offer in a way that appeals to them. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you still have you need some clarification. Okay, next question. How do I know what my market is? Okay, so I have a whole video called Unnicheable. I made it last year. You can go to brandsarelive.com /mojo and keep scrolling until you find it, or just in the search bar, you can search for Unnicheable. So this video talks about how to explain what is it that you do, who you do it for, and how you do it in a way that is compelling if you're not sure what your niche is. Because this is a common misconception. People think they have to niche in order to start a business. I can tell you from personal experience, from my clients and even other creators, you do not have to create a niche to start a business. It does help. If you find a niche that you absolutely love, go for it. But I believe that a niche is something you have to absolutely love. You have to be convinced that this is the thing you want to do. You can always change it in the future, but I wouldn't want to pick something just for the sake of picking something. However, like I said, if you can pick something and you can be happy with it and you can be excited about it, it's definitely worth it because it makes your marketing messaging a lot easier. For me personally, I didn't pick a niche when I started this. I just kind of started talking about what I cared about, and I trusted that my message was going to attract the right people to me. And then from there, I was going to discover the niche, not choose something arbitrarily, but discover who do I want to serve. So you need to niche. Maybe when you're selling a specific product or service, sometimes it helps to have a niche. But when it comes to building an audience, you don't have to have a niche. You can have an audience like my audience attracts. I attract the same kind of personality, but they're people like very different, right? So they're so completely different as far as what they do and who they do it for and how they do it. So there isn't something that you can plug into like an advertising platform and be like, give me heart-centered people, give me people who are, spiritual, give me people who are creative. Of course, you can kind of make assumptions, right? You can be like, well, if they're a mindfulness coach or if they're a psychedelic facilitator or if they're this and that. And sometimes that's true, but that doesn't really tell you a person is spiritual. And also, that's not really what I'm looking for. It's not about what they do, what kind of practices they do, or if they're in the quote unquote creative industries. It's more so a personality, it's a point of view, it's a perspective, which is why your content is crucial in attracting the right people. So instead of obsessing over like, how do I know what my niche is and what's the market and things like that, I would instead focus on what's true to me, like clarifying my message, and creating content helps you get clear on your message. It helps you clarify your message, and it will attract the right people to you. And then you can discover your niche. Then you can discover what are the common denominators between these people and try to put it together in a program or a service. This way, without niching your audience building, if you build it around your core, who you are, what you believe in, your point of view, your perspective, you're going to attract very different people. And tomorrow, if I wanted to start selling shoes, you better believe if I created the right shoes for those people, they will buy them because they are buying from me because they are aligned with how I think about certain things. They see the same way. They see certain things the same way. So that's that. I hope that answers your question. And again, if you need more clarification, just let me know. Okay, third question I received was, How do I know if an offer is going to sell before I present it to people? You don't. This was actually, I laughed when I read this message, because you don't. There's no way to know. And this person says, let's see. They say that they have asked a couple of people, and the people tell them, yes, for sure, this is something great and whatever. So do I really need to check some more? Let me tell you something. People telling you that it's a great offer and that it's highly valuable is one thing. People actually buying the offer is completely different thing. So it's great that you ask questions, but at the end of the day, the real test is to take it to the market. That means you take the thing, you present it to the people that you think it resonates with, and you literally put it in front of them with a buy button, or however it is that you collect the payment, and you see what happens. And if there's no payment, well, then there is no market fit. There's no product market fit. So you can ask people all you want, but at the end of the day, the only way to know for sure is to try. By the way, if it doesn't sell, that doesn't mean scratch it, isn't working or anything. There are so many variables that you can tweak, that you can change, that can make a difference. You got to have real conversations with people. You have to be unafraid to ask. Ask what would make it a good deal. Ask what would make it work. And I think I mentioned this in a recent post on LinkedIn, at least. And I will say it again, I say it all the time. It really is all about, do they want it? Is there a desire for it? Because if they don't want it, you can make it really affordable, accessible, easy, add a bunch of valuable things to it. But if the thing that you're promising is not something they already desire, they already want, it's probably not going to sell. So, all right, let's see. Question number 4. Okay. How do I figure out the entry level offer? So this is something I talked about before. I call it the brand activation offer, or the sampler, or the free sample. So what it is basically is when you're creating an offer and you're not sure how you're going to invite people into it, or maybe you even already have buyers, but you want to, basically the equivalent of what do you call it? Freebie, lead magnet, whatever you want to call it. I don't like the word lead magnet. I don't know. It doesn't sit very well with me for some reason, but you want to give something that people can have, like a free trial of what you offer, which is really difficult when it comes to service. Service providers struggle with this a little bit because, you can't just give a free sample of your time, then you're left with nothing. It's not scalable, it's not fair to you, all the things. So how do you approach this? Even if all you do is purely service providing, you're purely a service provider, there's always a way to package a portion of what you do in a way that is easy for people to consume. So you want to think about the main thing that you want them to buy. Like, what's the big benefit from buying your thing, right? And ideally, you want it to be just one thing, not 10 things, just one thing. What's the big idea here? And then you want to think about what are the problems that are leading up to it that you can help them resolve so that they can be ready for your work. So an example. For example, in my work, I help people figure out what is it they want to do and turn it into something that is profitable. So basically finding the intersection between doing what they love and what the market is willing to pay for. And I help them create content that is a reflection of their true selves. So call it a brand of full self-expression. Exactly what I'm doing here. It's very real. This is me. If you meet me in real life, this is real life, I'm exactly the same person. I'm not putting up a show for this. I talk to you in the same way that I talk to my friends, in the same way that I talk to my family, in the same way that I talk to everybody. I'm the same person. And I bring all parts of myself. There isn't part of me that is like hidden or that I'm ashamed of, at least not, at least as far as I am aware. So this embracing of all parts of yourself and bringing it to your brand and to your business is the brand of full self-expression. It's a business that is a reflection of who you really are. And the big benefit, obviously, is that you don't have to spend the rest of your life pretending to be something that you are not, so that you can be professional. Because the thing is, as spiritual creatives, we really struggle when it comes to traditional work environments. It's frowned upon to be anything like that. You're not. And of course, if you have some spiritual gifts, for example, or creative gifts that you want to share, most business environments don't really embrace those things. Then they kind of try to commercialize you, your essence, everything about you has to fit into that mold. And so you kind of feel this disconnect where you have to put on a mask every time you go to work or every time you go meet a client, and even in your own business. This is what happened to me in the past. Those of you who know my story, I had a business, but I still was pretending because I didn't think it was safe for me to be myself in my own fucking business. So that's the benefit of brand of full self-expression. Most people I work with have some level of clarity about generally, like, what do I want to do? They know they have been in business before. They're not completely like, they're not green. Some of them have businesses that are running really well, that are successful, and they want to kind of bring their full self-expression, and they're afraid of making that transition. Like, do I have to leave this successful business and go into something completely new? Do I have to be a beginner again? Some others are just starting out. They've been putting out content and things like that, but they're still figuring out their offers. Some have no idea. They're still figuring things out. For those people who are still figuring things out completely, like zero clue, not even any idea, right? Where I was basically 10 years ago. For those people, I probably wouldn't want to have this person work with me because it's risky for them. It can take you a long time to figure out, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? That takes a while. That level of clarity. I can help you gain clarity, but I don't want you to, invest a ton of money and a bunch of time and everything expecting to go from A to Z if you are a complete beginner. And so I would want to give you some free resources to help you gain that clarity before. So I have a bunch of resources for people who are just in the beginning of their journey. Now, if they have some more clarity about that, that's when it makes sense for them. They're like, okay, I know I want to create a business around ... I know I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I have an idea. Okay, that person is now ready to work with me. Or they already have the business and they feel like there's more for them out there, then I know they're ready for that. But if you're just a recent university graduate and you haven't had enough experiences in your career, it's just not going to make sense for you to invest in something like this. You should go out there and try different things to have more clarity about who you are, what do you want to do, things like that. Okay, hope that answers your question. So, oh, by the way, I do want to say this is super important. It matters what kind of free stuff you create. Like, just because it's free doesn't mean you just throw it together and hope for the best. Because people do judge your paid programs based on your free stuff. And a lot of people I speak to are like a little bit terrified to overshare in their free content or their freebies because they feel like, oh, I'm going to give my best, so why would people buy, right? But that's actually not true. First of all, your well never ends. You're an infinite being, infinite consciousness. You're always going to come up with other things. You're going to grow, hopefully. And as you're growing, your skill will grow, your knowledge will grow, it'll deepen. Even if you speak about the same thing, you'll be able to speak about it in a different way. So trust yourself. And then the second thing is, people aren't necessarily buying for the information, even if you share everything. And I mean, I don't hold anything back. Like, I share whatever I can in an hour or 30 minutes or 15 minutes or however long. Like, my workshops are usually an hour and a half. I share all that I can. I don't reserve certain things for people to, first you have to, sign up for the paid programs. But people still work with me. Why? Because they need more than just information. They need it to be customized to them, to their own lives, to their own way of thinking, to their specific situations. There isn't like a one, blueprint, step by step, that works for everybody. I can give you like a high level process that works for everybody. But if you really want to make it your own, it has to work around you. It has to work around your life. It has to work around your personality, your energy, all those things. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, let's see. Question 5, how do I know I'm doing it right? I'm selling. Okay, so they're making some sales, but they're still not feeling very confident about the offer and if they're doing it right. So a couple of things. This is how I would measure if this is a successful offer creation. Number one is I would ask myself, are the clients or customers or buyers happy? it's not just about getting the sale. It's about getting the sale and them being happy and satisfied, saying that whatever you promised them, the reason that they purchased, they feel that it was fulfilled and ideally exceeded. So if they leave you positive testimonials, especially if you don't ask, if they tell you, if they invite other people or refer you, tell others, if they repurchase is a huge sign, of course. Like recently in my group program, some of my clients were I was planning to tell them, hey, like we're coming up to the end of our group program. Do you want to sign up again and do it again? And somebody brought it up and they were like, yeah, we want to do it again. I was very happy. I was very excited to hear that, because to me, that's a big positive sign that they loved it and that they've had such a good experience that they proactively asked if they can sign up again to the same program, because it's also evolving and I'm always adding new stuff and everything. So they know they're going to learn more things. So that's always a great sign. So that's one way I would look at it. The other thing, which is equally as important, is your level of excitement about the offer. Because honestly, if you're not excited about the offer, doesn't matter if it's working, it's successful. In fact, it doesn't matter even if it's making money and the client is happy. To me, it doesn't matter, because if I don't love it, what's the point? If I don't enjoy it, if I don't think this is meaningful work, if I don't think this is exciting work, what's the point? Yeah. So those are the two metrics I personally look at. You have to make your own. Yeah. This doesn't mean this is what you have to care about. It means like, this is what I care about. This is how I define a successful business, if you will. It's not just about, does it make money? It's not just about, are customers happy? It's about, am I happy in it? Do I love it? Am I excited to get out of bed every morning to work on it? Am I excited to grow for this business? Because the cool thing that happened with Brands Are Life is Brands Are Life grew me. You know how people talk about their kids growing them? Like, I felt that I grew because of this business. I wanted to be someone else for it. I wanted to learn to grow and to improve certain things about myself in order to be ready for it, right? So you want your business to be that kind of catalyst for you to make that kind of change in your life, I believe, because really it's all about growth. And what we get, is the incentive is just a cherry on top, really. All right, let's see. Okay, next question is about the process itself, about market research, like going out there and asking people, asking your ideal client, how do you approach that? Okay, so that's going to be in the workshop, because it's not as easy as, as just answer it. Like I can give you a quick answer now, but I highly recommend that you come to the workshop on June 29th in this case. So at a high level, the way it works is, first you figure out what is it that you want to do, right? That's the first thing, is gaining clarity about what is it that is meaningful to you that you would gladly do for people, even if you didn't get paid for it. This is very important. What's something that you would do that it's just joyful in and of itself, because that's going to keep you going, because this is one of those things that don't give you immediate gratification. Just so you know, like, you're not going to put it out there. It's going to be, most of the time, it's not going to work as quickly, as immediately, going to have a smooth ride. You're going to create an offer and a bunch of people are going to come by and they have a business that works really well and things like that. That's not how, it's not a 90-day thing. You know what I mean? So if you're starting out, if you already have a business, it's different. But if you're just starting out and you have no idea who you're talking to, what your market is, et cetera, budget, more time. So pick something you love. Once you figure that out, then you have to create content to talk about it or get in conversations about it. You have to have conversations. So to me, content is just conversations at scale. So you have to have conversations with people. If you don't want to create content, you can just go talk to people in person, go to networking events, go to places, communities where your ideal client will hang out. And talk to them, have conversations. I tell my clients to do both. I do both. So I still create content and also go to communities and events and create my own events and things like that to have real two-way conversations with people. So having conversations, what it means really is that you're not going out there to pitch or anything. You're just having a real human conversation with someone and asking them about their challenges, with a spirit of curiosity, with a spirit of wanting to understand, listen and understand what is it that they are struggling with. And then you will be pleasantly surprised to find sometimes, not always, that somebody's problem is something that you know you can help them with. And when that happens, you can ask a little bit more like, so what have you tried before to solve this? It should kind of understand what is it that they've tried before that hasn't worked. Again, remember how we talked about understanding their point of view and their perspective and their assumption. You don't want to come to them and say the same thing that they've heard a million times before, or something that sounds like something they've tried before but didn't work, right? So you want to understand what has their experience been so far, because you really need to understand their buying journey. It's not just about the funnel, creating like content for different stages of the funnel. It's also about understanding where they are, because they are the ones who make the buying decision. We talk too much about selling, we think too much about selling, but the reality is they buy. That's what makes us money, them taking the action, which is what scares most people, because it's not something you can force. You can't force them. Stop trying to control people to make them buy or whatever. Like it's not how it works. They make the decision if they want to buy. The power is in their hands, not over you, over themselves. They have power over themselves to decide to buy, and we have to honor and respect that. Our job is to understand where are they, what do they need, what have they tried before, and then, figure out, well, if our offer is exactly what they've tried before, then I would try to understand why the other option didn't work for them. Because maybe they're right. Maybe it doesn't fucking work and we think it works and it doesn't. Hopefully you're presenting something that you've tried yourself in your own life. That's what I teach my people. I teach my clients, everyone I talk to, that you have to eat your own medicine. It's called the brand of full self-reflection. Okay, so that's that, right? So you understand where they're coming from, and then you present your offer as an alternative, as a different way, and you explain why buy this? Why should they even buy this? Not just your offer, but why should they buy this solution in general? Why should they do it? So for example, brand of full self-expression. Why do you need a brand of full self-expression? Because you don't want to be pretending to be someone that you're not. You don't want to be drained. You don't want to be doing something that's meaningless to you. You don't want to be feeling like you're selling out for money. That's in general why you want to do something that you love and be, authentic and real in your brand and your business. Okay, that's why you should buy this. And then why should they buy it from you specifically and not from anybody else? And you might think, well, what I'm presenting is so unique, nobody else has it. It's so authentic, it's so real, it's so unique, nobody else has it. Maybe, but they also still have options. They have an option of buying a completely different thing from somebody else. They have the option of not doing anything at all. So why should they buy this from you? And this isn't about you bending over backwards to try to convince them why they should buy from you. This is just about having a little bit of awareness as to like, why are you the one? And what I like to tell my clients is that you have to get in this mindset of being uniquely qualified to do the work. Because if it is a brand of full self-expression, what you're selling is your self-expression, is packaging your story, your background, your learnings, your lessons, your life, connecting the dots for yourself. And because you've gone through it yourself, because you understand it, you're leading yourself through it, then you can create something that works for other people. You've been there and you are uniquely qualified because it's a reflection of your life. So that's what it means to be uniquely qualified. It's not like people aren't buying because you're the only one who does marketing and branding and business mentorship, for example, in my case. They're buying from me because of the way that I do things. They buy it because of my point of view. They buy it because of alignment with my values, with my way of doing things. So that personal connection is why they should buy from you. And then why buy it now and not later? Understand something. Buying is painful. Decisions are painful most of the time. Okay. Sometimes the excitement overrides the purchase and the excitement overrides the pain, but it's scary. It's like that decision, making the decision it scares people. And so most people want to not do it now. They default to later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Like, I don't want to look into it, especially if this is a big purchase and it's a big, not only a big transaction in terms of money, but also commitment and things like that. There are lots of questions, lots of details. Who wants to sit and figure this out? Most people don't want to do that. And so why do it right now? This is why promotions help. This is why when you present a special time offer or early bird pricing or something, it helps people it motivates them to make the decision now and not put it off. It's not supposed to change their minds. It's not supposed to take somebody from not wanting to work with you to wanting to work with you. It's supposed to go from someone who wants to work with you, who already trusts you, who already trusts your work, who is in, but then to decide to do it now as opposed to next week, next month, next year. Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you. It's good to see you. Finally, I'm seeing your comments. Hey, Jenna. This is great. So Jenna says, this is great information. I was here to listen. No questions right now. Thanks so much. You're very welcome, Jenna. Thank you for tuning in. I wish I had known about you before I went through multiple spiritual coaches to help me with my business. I like how you are very pragmatic because I can get very visionary and need that grounded business map help. I am so thankful that you brought this up, Jenna, because the whole reason why I started this thing is because I went through it and I thought the answer, I was going to find it also in those environments too. I was going out there and trying to find the answers out there. And what I got is a bunch of bullshit packaged for a lot of fucking money. That's what I got. I got a bunch of people who didn't give a fuck about me, who charged me a lot of money for absolute nonsense and nothingness. I'm not bashing like spiritual coaches. Most of my friends these days are spiritual coaches. I'm not a coach, by the way. I'm a mentor. I'm a mentor and I'm a consultant. Labels, who cares? I love coaches. I have lots of coach clients. So I'm not saying that, this is what coaches are or spiritual coaches are or anything, but my experience, this was my experience. My experience was like that. And I was like, I do not want to create that because I experienced that and I know what it's like to put all your hopes on that and not have that. And I really felt there was a need in the market for this, for like a pragmatic, no nonsense, realistic approach to what we call spirituality. I think there's a lot of unchecked bullshit in the spiritual world. There's a lot of spiritual ego going around, and there are lots of people who are prancing around talking about spirituality, but then the practice isn't quite there. So thank you for noticing that. I appreciate you and I appreciate your presence. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get back to the questions. Okay, so another one. This one it is so funny. I see you guys' comments, but then like there's 0 views. So I have no idea who's here and who's not. Please, if you're here, say hello because I can't see you. Okay, so this question, this person summarizing the question, what they're saying is that they've tried to approach the whole market research, by going out there and asking people and talking to them, and they felt drained. They felt like they were not excited about conversations with people, right? The whole like go out there and talk to people and ask them questions and things like that. They didn't feel very good about this. So there are a few reasons for that. The first reason, the biggest reason, is that we get overly attached to the outcome. So we get attached to the outcome of, I have to talk to people, I have to figure out what they want, and I have to create an offer, and I have to present the offer ASAP. And the thing about networking is it is all about building true relationships. I can't stress this enough. So what does that mean? That means when you go into, let's say, a community or a group, a network or whatever, at first glance, most people aren't going to seem interesting. Let's be real. Most people are going to be like, I don't know what this person is doing, something in some field that is not mine. If you don't have a niche, right? Like if you don't have a niche and you're still figuring out what is that you want to create that is like your authentic expression, you're just going to go out there and be like, oh, I went to this, like, let's say a spiritual Slack channel with 100 people and there are no conversations, or a group on Facebook, but nobody is talking. And if anybody posts something, it's just like this random thing that nobody engages with. And I posted and nobody commented, nobody replied. And so I don't know how to start conversations and things like that. So A, you're too attached to the outcome. B is the first layer. And I talk about this a lot when I talk about the levels, 3 levels of content creation. The first layer is attention, right? So there's first attention, and then there is interest, and then there's trust in any relationship. So a relationship cannot start unless you have somebody's attention and they have yours. And that doesn't always happen because we expect the final layer, the trust and interest, to pop out of nowhere and be like, then we're like, okay, I'm going to give you attention. But if we can develop a spirit of curiosity about the people around us, asking them questions, and have like in your back pocket a few questions that you can ask people that can help you start a deep conversation, beyond just talking about the weather and things like that. Like, there is no like one way path to do this. I really just recommend doing it a lot so that you can get the practice, the reps, and then you can feel less awkward in conversations with strangers. But like, depending on where you are and what the occasion is, it's as simple as asking them how they got there and what's like their motivation from being there, what they're hoping to get, what are they going through, things like that. And then truly listening and asking more questions to really listen. Completely suspend the idea that you are thinking about creating an offer and you're thinking about selling an offer and you're thinking about business. Forget about all that and just get to know people. This is why it really helps to be in a business that you love, with people that you love, serving people that you really care about, and doing work that you're excited to talk about. So that's the first layer. And the second thing is, I think because most people I work with are empaths, this is generally how people end up being spiritual creatives anyways, because they are very much in tune with their inner world. They think a lot about, the inner workings of their minds, of their own consciousness, and then they look around them and they attune to other people's emotions, they attune to other people's thoughts and things like that. They are more sensitive to the outer world. And so it's so easy to get overwhelmed. And also, shallow conversations aren't very satisfying. So actually talking to 20 different people about shallow things drains your energy. But talking to one person about one deep conversation about something that's meaningful will make you feel alive. And so your goal is to have those seeds, plant those seeds of little conversations here and there. But as soon as you find somebody who is willing to reciprocate, because they have to have the willingness to be vulnerable with you. If they're not, maybe they're not ready for it. But you can open your heart to people, and if they open their hearts back, then you have somebody that you can talk to. And that's where you go into, building interest, understanding them. Being interested in them is the best way for them to be interested in you. So just interest in their life, their interest in that, in their business, their interest in them as a person, and watch what happens. And trust is really something that just happens eventually, like on the back of multiple conversations, somewhere along the line, as you talk to someone and you're interested in each other, you're learning about each other, at some point you start to develop trust. That is not something to manufacture. And again, it is partially is under our control and the other part is not. So I always think about it as a co-creative process with the universe. It's like, part me, I'm just going to do my part, and then the other part is whatever the universe decides for us. Okay. Some of these I won't be able to answer because they aren't really about creating this offer. I will create more workshops in the future about things like figuring out your brand and things like content creation process. I also create content about these things all the time. So if you're not subscribed to Mojo, go to brandsauralife.com/Mojo. That's the best place to really have access to everything, from access to free workshops, the content that I create, so the YouTube videos and that sort of thing. And all right. And last but not least, this one is an interesting one because I've been there before. So this person is saying that they have created a very successful business and they are selling. They have no problem selling. They know how to, create things that sell. But they are concerned because the thing they want to create is completely different from the business that they've worked so hard to build. I was in that exact situation in 2021, early 2021. I realized that the business that I had worked my butt off to build, the marketing consulting business, and I got it to make 20 to 30K a month consistently at the time. And I was working barely 1 or 2 hours a day. And I had amazing clients, a handful of amazing clients. I'm traveling, life is good, all the things. Okay, COVID aside, but all before that, I had designed this business exactly the way I envisioned it when I first started. I wanted to be location and time independent. I wanted to, there were certain things that I was very particular about. I didn't want to be in meetings all day. And so I was barely having a meeting or two per week of 30 minutes each. So it was, on paper, it was great. But in reality, I felt completely, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like I couldn't do it anymore. Seriously, my body just gave out. I had no energy to keep going. Simple tasks became became a drag. Like even having to check my email or respond to things, or I could have hired people and done things and moved things around, but I just had no excitement about it anymore. And I didn't understand what the hell is wrong with me. I was like, you worked so hard to get here. Why aren't you happy? You should feel happier, is what I remember thinking, like, right? So like, oh, you should be happier. Why aren't you happier? So anyway, I was exactly in the same situation. And after some work, I decided to let go of everything. At the time, I was a marketing consultant for e-commerce businesses in the 5 to 15 million yearly revenue range. So I had a niche, I had a specific kind of client and things like that. And I was offering them specific kind of service, loyalty and retention marketing and that sort of thing. So that was the thing that I was focusing on. And so I was like, you know what, I may have to let go of certain things. And that was the process. The process was the willingness to remove the layers of who I thought I was. So my attachment, for example, to e-commerce at the time was really not because I was passionate about e-commerce specifically. I loved it because I was good at it, because I had my own e-commerce businesses before I became a consultant, but it wasn't really meaningful to me. I wasn't feeling the same spark about it anymore, selling products. I didn't care, about selling those products. So I had to remove that layer, even though it was like a crutch. And I derived so much of my confidence and so much of who I thought I was, really my identity was around that. It was like when people ask me, who are you? I would respond with my work, which is really sad, but that was my identity, right? Like I had to remove that layer. And then the loyalty and retention marketing is another thing that I had to remove. I even considered removing marketing. I was like, am I a marketer? So basically I removed all the pieces, all the layers. I used to work with this kind of client. I removed that. So basically I had to remove all these layers to then get back to from a clean slate. What do I choose to add back into my life? It's like, I don't know who said this to me, but they said, if you want to clear your house, you want to, instead of thinking, what do I keep? Imagine your house is on fire, God forbid, and everything is going to go, but you have to choose what to keep. No, I'm sorry. Instead of choosing what to throw away, you have to choose what to keep. So instead of saying, what do I get to throw away? It's more like you're throwing away everything. What do you get to keep, essentially, right? So I took the same approach. I'm throwing away everything that I think I am. What do I choose to keep? And I also had to work around certain, how do I say this, like resistance points. Like I didn't like the word spiritual. I didn't like that part of myself at all. I tried to fight that. I didn't like lots of things. I used to pride myself on the fact that I pushed myself to become this like left brain purely logical person. So I didn't like the fact that I had to go back to being a creative, which is what I was when I was a kid. I felt that there was a lot of hurt that was going to come from that. So anyway, the point is, for you in this position, what you need to do doesn't mean that you have to throw away your business, your whole life and everything and start all over, but you have to be willing to let go of all the layers, which is probably even scarier, right? Who you think you are. You have to let go of who you think you are for who you really are to come through. Okay, let's see. Now I have another comment here. Alfredo, makes total sense, but as an introvert, to break the ice, I feel so awkward to start conversations. I am okay with people approaching me, but I am not the starter. Fear of rejection if I am truly honest with myself. Alfredo, I'm so glad you said this, because I am also a quote unquote, I don't know if I am, but I would probably be classified as an introvert. I really like spending time alone. I like being by the lake, in nature, by myself, thinking. I don't necessarily thrive on talking to 1,000 different people quickly. Like I like to have deeper conversations, and I like some time to recover. So I get it. First thing I would say is, again, it's the identity. It's who you think you are not that's limiting you. You may be an introvert, but you are also an extrovert, whether you realize it or not. If you are God universe, then you are fucking infinite, and you can play with the avatar all you want, and who you are can change at any moment. If you decide this is who you need to be in the next moment for the job to be done, you can be that. So I would first start by letting go of the attachment to the label of being an introvert and what an introvert is supposed to be like. I understand that it feels awkward to start conversations. That doesn't stop you from starting conversations. It's awkward to go on live and not. I had some technical issues as it was coming up. I thought I was live and I wasn't. First, I didn't see my camera. Then things happen. Then things break. Then I'm like, I still can't see people. It shows me 0. I'm seeing comments, but then it says 0 people watching. So I have no idea what the hell is going on. I feel awkward a lot of times when I start conversations, but doing it over and over and over and over and over made it feel a lot less awkward to start conversations. So it's really just a matter of practice. Everything that feels unnatural is just because you're not used to it. Once you get used to it, it becomes the easiest thing in the world. So I don't believe that. I think you're able to start conversations. I talked to you before. I know you're great at it. You don't give yourself enough credit. You're okay with people approaching you, but not the starter. It's fear of rejection, you said. What do you think will happen? Alfredo, if you're still around, I would love to hear, what do you think would happen if you approach someone? You know, what kind of rejection, what is the rejection response in your opinion? Like, do you think if you went to somebody and said hi, like you're in a networking event or you're in a community and you said hello to someone, what do you expect them to say? Of course, you're welcome. Appreciate you. Because I'll tell you this, like, I think just in the same way that we might feel like, you know, we don't know how to approach strangers and we feel awkward about it, I like to think of it like they're just shy too, and they're waiting for me to approach them. So can I be the person to make this easy for both of us and just start the conversation? And especially if you're in a kind of environment that is for people, you know, to know each other, like communities, like groups, like things like that. I'm not going to complete strangers on the street like, hi, I'm Aliana. Do you want my business card? I'm not doing that, right? I'm not going on a cold DM to a person and pitching them something, even though I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I just don't like to do it. I think it's more fun the way I do it. But especially if you're going to places where people are expecting to be approached or to meet people or to connect with people. That's kind of the expectation, you know? But yeah, I would invite you to think about what is rejection to you anyway. Because most people aren't nasty. Most people are not gonna respond to you in a way that is aggressive or anything. All right. This brings us to the end of the questions. I think I saw, can't post comments to some destinations. Okay, I'm still figuring out how this thing works. I should not be thinking about selling, like you say, just be going for the conversation and go from there. I get it now, thank you. Of course, it is about creating the buying experience. It's the buying experience. For me to buy, what I need full clarity, like, give me just the basics. What is it that you're selling? What are you promising? Not just the result, but like, what are you actually selling me? What are the deliverables? How much is it? How much time? What do I need to do? When does it start? All those things. If I just have those things, I can make my own decision. So I treat people the same way. I don't like have extensive sales things, you know, like I don't get them on a 5-hour call and try to, you know, stir the pain and things like that. I do everything in the content, and then by the time they talk to me, they already know, like, and trust me. And it's as simple as giving them answers to questions, and then they decide if they're in or not. And it's such low pressure to everyone, and I make it safe for everybody to approach me. And so people aren't afraid to ask because they know, they know I'm not gonna, you know, latch on to them or anything. So not saying that any of you guys are doing this, but this is very common in business. Okay. I think this brings us to the end. I don't see any other questions. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. I'm sorry if I didn't see you, if you were here. If any comments were missed, I don't think. Maybe there were comments missed. I mean, according to this thing, there are some issues with some of the channel destinations. So I don't know, maybe there were some comments that ended up in the black hole. But if I missed anything, or if you have if you need clarification on any of the points that I made in this live, you know what to do. Just send me a DM wherever you're seeing this. If you're not seeing a DM, if you're on a channel that doesn't have a DM like YouTube, just go to brandsarealive.com and go to the bottom where the contact page is and just send me a message there. more than happy to answer it in the next live. And remember, June 29th, 11 a.m. Central, I will be doing a full workshop on this. So it'll be the whole thing step by step. Of course, you're very welcome, Shravan. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I send you huge hugs, and I will see you next time. Bye.